The father had no money to buy the boy a game, so he knelt on the ground crying bitterly, simply because that game could not only make money, but also allow one to become a hero, admired by all Arcana, an unparalleled virtual reality game. But one day the game suddenly became reality, and the monsters inside appeared as well. Just when humanity's survival was at a life and death moment, some humans were assimilated with their game characters, gaining power beyond ordinary people, and quickly eliminated the overflowing monsters, making players heroes worshipped by everyone. However, Li Hoi had quit this game years ago, but unexpectedly years later, he was assimilated with his game character, resulting in his level being very low, far behind ordinary players. So he chose to become an ordinary office worker, but due to being influenced by his character's personality, his work never went smoothly. Granfell. Cloudy Orpheus Romeo was the character Li Hoyo created at age 12, when he was in his Chunyu phase. Granfall was the heir of a great family, but during one of his business trips, his family was slaughtered by demons, leaving only him alive to seek revenge. He decided to become a demon hunter. After Li Hoyo assimilated with him, he constantly displayed Granfall's personality, which was also why he locked himself at home. His movements were crude, yet carried a hint of nobility. His conversations had both Chinibyu tones and noble elegance. And even worse when his boss criticized him, he splashed water on the boss's face. Yet none of this was intentional on Li Hoyo's part. As a result, Li Hoyo ended up firing his boss, because nobles do not yield under pressure. But today, he had to go out to work because his savings were almost depleted, with monsters appearing frequently lately. He could use his player identity to hunt monsters and earn rewards, though money was important. His own life was more precious. He had to find a team commission to ensure safety. However, Li Hoyo didn't know how to take on commissions, since he had never used his player identity before, so he went online to check. But as Li Hoi searched, there were surprisingly no commissions for demon hunters, where demon hunters no longer needed. Just then a piece of information shocked Li Hoyo. Archean base was destroyed. All demon hunter NPCs in the entire town were killed with no survivors. As the holy land of demon hunters, such a thing couldn't possibly happen. Could it be that demon slayers appeared? This profession specialized in hunting hunters, and was an antagonist profession. But this was impossible because for player protection, the operators had deleted this profession 10 years ago, and demon hunters made no contribution when monsters descended, posing no threat to other players. Because their attributes were relatively low, and their upgrade path was singular. With very few skills since no demons had appeared for almost 10 years, they relied on delivery. Commission tasks to gain experience points for leveling up. However, when it came to dealing with demons, they were incomparable to other professions, since demons only appeared in demon hunter quests, and there were specific requirements. Players needed to constantly grind tasks with a notorious reputation. So, people mistakenly thought this character was meaningless to the world. Even demon hunters were considered a trash profession, but a character. Being useless and being unusable were two different things. And the situation before Li Hoyo's eyes was worse, because the NPCs who taught skills were all dead. Just then he opened a game version update message. Arcana 8.11 Historical Reality Update completed. It turned out that with the update, demons from the rifts also appeared. And demons were much stronger than ordinary monsters. They could even possess players and drive them insane. Even level 200 advanced players could hardly escape. Li Hoyo was puzzled if demons had appeared. Why didn't demon hunters come out to hunt them at this moment? Li Hoyo speculated. What if I'm the only demon hunter after Archon's fall? If that were the case, should I take action? This left Li Hoyo struggling. Just then a voice appeared in Li Hoyo's heart. You can I? Grand Fel will not choose to flee from demons. No matter what temptations and mockery demons use on me, I will slaughter them all. That is my pride. They cannot harm the confident Grand Fel. Li Hoyo hesitated for a moment. It seemed he would have to personally send demons back to hell. After all, this was a demon hunter's mission. The scene shifted, and Li Hoyo appeared in the plaza where someone was already waiting. Before Li Hoyo stood the team captain for this mission, Nam Ju Man Profession Tank. Seeing Li Hoi, he politely came forward to greet him. He looked refined and scholarly. Then the other members appeared, and the overall lineup looked decent. Looking at the rift before them, ordinary people couldn't perceive its existence. Only players could freely enter and exit to clear it. Norse Underground Warehouse. Suitable level 35 to 40 destruction progress 19.8%. Once the destruction progress reached 100%, the rift would shatter, and the monsters inside would be released into the real world. But for level 55 Li Hoyo, this was a decent hunting spot. After last night's research, the current highest level player exceeded level 400, which was a level he couldn't even comprehend right now. Li Hoyo needed to continue working hard to improve himself, to hunt more demons moments later. Everyone headed toward Nor's underground warehouse. There were obvious signs of battle here, and an eerie atmosphere pervaded. Yet none of them showed any alertness. Just then, SEO Zhang Yun felt uneasy, but Nam Ju Man said, this place was probably already cleared by the previous batch of players. As long as they followed their route, they could easily complete the commission. So everyone relaxed their guard and entered this eerie mall. But Li Hoyo remained vigilant and became even more alert. Little did they know they had already fallen into the demon's trap. Moments later, Li Hoyo sensed something approaching, and then the team members also discovered several Nors appearing 70 meters away. Without confirming the number of monsters or team coordination, the tank captain rushed forward alone, followed closely by 2 melee warriors. This team had no tactics whatsoever. Li Hoyo stood behind unmoved. What should he choose to do next? Looking at the team composition, it seemed normal: 1 tank, 2 warriors, 1 support mage. But the tank not only failed to protect his teammates, but instead enraged the monsters, actually making a warrior responsible for blocking monster attacks, while most of the damage output relied on the mage's random casting. Li Hoyo was puzzled. Was this how players operated after 10 years? Meanwhile, a message came from the mage. The stamina buff cooldown was almost over. It seemed they couldn't hold out much longer. Next, Li Hoyo checked his inventory because they would soon need him to act, but his inventory didn't have suitable weapons either. Only a silver short blade and bow and arrows. It seemed that before finding appropriate weapons, he could only act sparingly. But the next second danger arrived. An arrow shot toward Li Hoyo, but he quickly noticed it. When Li Hoyo looked back, he discovered a Norse legion hiding in the shadows, ambushing the team from behind while they were unprepared. Facing this sudden army, their strength was quickly depleted. Damn, it seemed these Norse had planned this. At this moment, everyone called for Nam Shelman to return to the team, but he remained expressionless, completely ignoring the others. In this critical moment, Choi Jong-hoon became distracted. Next, a monster attacked from behind him. Would he die here today? Just at this critical moment, the monster was pierced through by a sudden weapon. When Choi Jong-hoon looked back, it was an arrow. Li Hoyo had acted at this moment. Li Hoyo also noticed that these monsters hadn't been trained yet. Otherwise, at that distance, just now, Choi Jong-hoon would have been injured for sure. Although these ordinary monsters weren't Li Hoyo's prey, sometimes action was necessary. Only then did Choi Jong-hoon remember that the team had gained an additional member today. As the group continued fighting, the monster numbers didn't decrease, but increased, and the monster warriors and archers could coordinate perfectly. Looking at the endless monsters before them, Mage Seo Jong Hyun's heart was nearing collapse. But the next second, a voice pulled her back to reality. Stay calm, Li Hoyo said. I'll handle the charging monsters. You need a powerful spell to break the current situation. I'll buy you the time you need. On the other side, the team members gathered together, finally realizing the importance of coordination. As Li Hoyo bought Seo Jong Young casting time, her flame explosion magic was now ready. The group had just gathered the monsters in one place, and the low-level intermediate magic flame burst, shot toward the monster horde. The scene filled with explosive sounds, and when the smoke cleared, all monsters had been eliminated. But at this moment, Li Hoyo was staring intently at the monster corpses because his arrows were on them. He thought, if I secretly retrieve them, the others probably won't notice, right? The exhausted group was readjusting their condition, but Choi Jong-hoon couldn't hold back anymore. He stepped forward and grabbed Nam Cholman. Not seeing hidden monsters is understandable, but why didn't you come forward to help? You basically led us into a damn trap. At this moment, Nam Cholman remained expressionless. Then he grinned wickedly and kicked Choi Jong-hoon away. Next, an evil energy erupted from his body, and simultaneously, Li Hoyo's skill Natural Enemy activated. This skill was unique to demon hunters, rapidly increasing combat power when fighting demons. It seemed his soul had been corrupted by a demon. Li Hoyo slowly spoke. A demon. Everyone was shocked, asking if he was mistaken. Obviously, they couldn't believe Chow Man would be corrupted by a demon, so everyone fell into fear. Yet fear was the most delicious food for demons. When Li Huoyo was in self-doubt, he was also affected by the demon's illusion. And what appeared before his eyes was the tragic state of his team members, with Seo Zhang Yun calling to him for help. Moments later, his heart was nearing collapse. On the other side, the demon was also observing Li Huoyo, who was also in a state of fear. Just when the demon thought the plan had succeeded, the next second, Li Huoyo broke through its illusion and charged straight at the demon, but his attack was easily blocked by the demon. Next, Li Huoyo took a step back to create distance. He hadn't expected its armor to be so hard that he couldn't pierce through directly. Then the demon also attacked him, even threatening with Nam Chulmin's body. "If you hurt me, your friend will also die." But Li Huoyo completely ignored him, teleporting behind him in an instant. At this moment, Li Huoyo's eyes were determined, and without any hesitation, with the passive enhancement, he struck heavily at the demon's neck. However, the demon had armor to block it. Simultaneously, the demon swept at him horizontally, nearly grazing Li Huoyo's cheek. At this moment, the demon continued threatening with Nam Chulmin's body, thinking this was his trump card. But the next second, the short sword shot straight at his face, leaving a deep wound on his face. Then he knelt on the ground screaming. But his wound didn't heal. "Damn it, Silver." But Li Huoyo, with an extremely arrogant attitude, said, "Don't speak to me, I don't talk to prey." This was absolute confidence. Only this way would demons have no opportunity to exploit. Next, Nam Chulmin's consciousness loosened slightly. He recalled how every time he fought monsters, he was covered in wounds. His older brother was always worried about him, but the stubborn younger brother always said he was fine. Facing his brother's concern made him feel very useless. Meanwhile, others mocked and ridiculed him, constantly comparing him to his older brother, which created inferiority in his heart. Just then, the demon smelled the scent of food and immediately occupied his body. When a person's mental state dropped to a certain level, they became the demon's prey. So, he could only helplessly watch as his teammates walked step by step into the demon's trap, only able to cry out powerlessly. On the other side, Li Huoyo, taking advantage of its confused consciousness, directly severed its arm. Yet at this moment, the demon was still threatening with the body. But this wasn't Li Huoyo's weakness. Then Li Huoyo whispered to him, "Be confident, you. Are you hearing this?" Nam Chulmin made his final choice. Simultaneously, Li Huoyo charged straight at the demon. As he swept past the demon was beheaded. Li Huoyo said to Nam Chulmin about his choice, "Well done. Only with firm will can a demon be completely annihilated." Nam Chulmin slowly opened his eyes. The team members were all shocked. Was everything just now an illusion? He finally realized he had been possessed by a demon. At this moment, the team members were also very worried about his safety. Nam Ju-min looked at his trembling hands. After all, the feeling just now was so real. Was that the feeling of death? Li Huoyo then said, "Demon hunter weapons cause no harm to humans, but are lethal to demons." Everyone found it incredible, and this was their first time seeing a hunter. Li Huoyo told them that a person must have confidence and pride to avoid being corrupted by demons. Meanwhile, he opened his equipment window. Not a single piece of equipment had dropped. It seemed to be a poor little demon. The scene shifted. Li Huoyo's demon hunting caused a sensation on the forums, because no demons had appeared for 10 years, let alone how to hunt demons. But no one believed it, constantly complaining about it. When Nam Ju-min wanted to invite him to join the guild, older brother Nam Tae-min expressed disagreement, saying a forum post had no persuasive power. When the younger brother slowly said, "I was the one possessed by the demon," the older brother was stunned in place. Meanwhile, Nam Ju-man said he would change profession to analyst because through this battle, he understood his weaknesses and role. Though he had always wanted to make his brother proud. "I want to be proud of myself and walk my own path." Facing his brother's sudden change, Taemin was a bit incredulous, but at the same time he felt very relieved. After all, he'd advised him many times to change professions, but he never did, making the brother increasingly curious about what kind of person could change his brother so quickly. The younger brother said, "Li Ho, y'all seemed mysterious, fighting without using magic, but with a dagger." Nam Taehyun said that although Arcana had thousands of combat methods, using a dagger was the first he'd heard of. In the illusion abnormal state, he wasn't affected, which meant his mental state was more incredible than imagined. but no one on the forum believed it. After all, it did sound unbelievable. But the older brother said he believed his younger brother. After all, he had even prepared a contract for Li Hoyo. When the younger brother picked up the contract to look at it, he was directly stunned on the other side. Li Hoy's level increased to 67. He hadn't expected this seemingly insignificant little demon to provide so much improvement. Much better than doing delivery commissions in Archon. Was this the so-called professional advantage at this moment? Li Hoy was also affected by Granville's characteristics, changing from his previous slovenly lifestyle to following regular schedules and practicing self-discipline. This wasn't necessarily a bad thing, and I learned something from it. Meanwhile, Li Hoyo was reviewing Granville's detailed information, learning that he was very talented in magic. He could imitate most spells just by seeing them once, and he never hesitated when it came to hunting demons. This made Li Hoyo somewhat immune to demonic influence. Next, he received a text from Nam Ju Min, but he was also puzzled by this sudden invitation. Before understanding the situation, clearly he wouldn't agree to join, so he decisively refused. This was also influenced by Granfall's character, making Li Hoyo more cautious. On the other side, seeing Li Hoyo's response, both were directly stunned. The nation's #1 guild offered him a house, a car, and all expenses with a 9.5 to 0.5 split ratio. They hadn't expected Li Hoyo to refuse such good conditions. This made the older brother jump up in anger. Were there other guilds offering such good conditions? Meanwhile, the younger brother mentioned that a foreign guild had indeed been established recently, and it was considered top tier. Hearing this, Taemin immediately stood up, saying they couldn't let such rare talent slip away. They must get Li Hoyle before others made their move. So he wanted to understand Li Hoyle's characteristics. The younger brother said he looked like a figure from mythology, more precisely like a nobleman from fantasy novels. Did such people really exist? Meanwhile, Li Hoyo was also trying to learn magic. He hadn't expected Granfell's talent to be so high at this moment. He could actually understand the basic principles of magic. But regardless, this was a good thing for him. Then Li Hoyo considered how to allocate attribute points, because only balanced attribute values could maximize character performance. First, add stamina and agility, as these were the most basic attributes for hunters. Considering he could learn magic, he must improve some magic stats. After all, magic output was also good support. At this moment, Li Hoyo's luck attribute increased from 1 to 2, meaning his luck doubled. Maybe he could even find a penny on the street. The next day, Li Hoyo was just looking in the mirror when a message suddenly appeared before him. Good fortune indeed came. It was actually a hunter profession quest. After the game world became reality, even quests became pitifully rare because in real life, there weren't many NPCs who could provide quests to players, making quests extremely rare. No one knew its content, and there were no walkthrough guides. Even high-level players receiving such quests would be newsworthy. But logically, this wasn't a quest a level 76 player should receive. So this definitely meant Li Hoyle might be the only remaining demon. Hunter Arkansas Shan was where hunters learned skills and took quests. In Granfall's memory, hunter quests were repetitive, meaningless hard work. Climbing 10,000 m slopes every day, living in extremely harsh conditions, even eating halfway up the mountain. Meanwhile, the skill-teaching NPCs constantly yelled at players. Many players couldn't stand it and left. But all this was to train Hunter's mentality. When Li Hoyle opened the quest, he was directly stunned. Was this the quest that could make headlines? The scene shifted to the Rift Analysis Headquarters, a facility formed to reduce chaos and destruction in the world. They employed all staff involved in Arcana's development, collecting related information and providing analysis for players. Because of this, they lived a 996 lifestyle every day, constantly monitoring Rift update news. Just now, Rift news was updated. When they checked the news, they felt extremely terrified. New Rift count family territory, where even ordinary monsters were level 200, ordinary soldiers and bosses approaching level 400, and most terrifying was the boss Count Escura, reaching a terrifying level 430. This was the strongest boss among all appeared rifts. Facing the situation, any number of people would undoubtedly be going to their deaths, and the NPCs inside wouldn't help players attack either. When the rift shattered, the monsters inside would descend into reality. Damn, were all previous efforts in vain. On the other side, Li Hoyo looked at the profession quest before him. First, quest hunt demons. Li Hoyo had completed this. The second was to strengthen his physical condition. At this moment, Li Huoyo was slowly sipping plain water. The next second, he splashed it on his own face, his body trembling constantly. The result of high-intensity training. And for someone who preferred indoor life like him, high-intensity training was somewhat demanding. But after a week, Li Huoyo felt much more relaxed. If not for Grandfall's pride, Li Huoyo would probably have given up these quests already. As quest continued refreshing, the content remained unchanged. Li Huoyo did nothing but exercise. At this moment, he was already cursing heaven and earth, and the quest content was becoming increasingly outrageous. Another week passed. Damn. Still no changes. How many times did he need to complete this to get rewards? Just then the quest interface suddenly refreshed. Were rewards finally coming? Don't tell me the reward is just 8-pack ABS. When Li Huoyo opened the rewards, it was actually 2 attribute points in stamina and agility, and they were permanent increases with level unchanged. Improving attributes was extremely difficult, and attribute items were very expensive. Increasing 1 point required at least millions or tens of millions. It seemed Li Huoyo had struck gold. Compared to hunting monsters, this seemed very easy. Meanwhile, the radio broadcast news. 90% of guilds announced abandoning the new rift strategy. Hearing this, Li Huoyo was also shocked. They said Count Oscura was both demon and vampire, the highest level boss seen so far. This strategy would be the most difficult rift in history. Damn, this level was too outrageous. And demons were the hardest for other players to deal with, because the more battles they experienced, the stronger they became, requiring constant vigilance against abnormal states. So, ordinary players needed to be at least 10 levels higher than demons to have a chance of killing them. Facing Count Oscura, Li Huoyo simply couldn't imagine. Meanwhile, the quest refreshed. At this moment, hunt vampire demon. The vampire appearing before him was exactly the level 430 monster. Damn, Li Huoyo also fell into fear. Can I do this though? Li Huoyo was influenced by my character and gained the hunter title. I still feel it's impossible. Just then a slap woke Li Huoyo up. Are these damn prey getting cocky too? Time to let them taste fear. Grandfell, it's you again. Can I just run away quickly? Just now, after Li Huoyo's research, he confirmed the location of this rift. In the Rakshasa Empire of the far north. But it was tens of thousands of kilometers from Li Huoyo, so he could only rely on the Mage Tower for teleportation. This was why foreign guilds all established branches in each country, because they could teleport to anywhere in the world through magic circles. While Li Huoyo was troubled about taking the bus or taxi, there was no time to hesitate now. So he hurriedly got up, but forgot to change into winter clothes. Just as he was about to go out, he stopped. Did he remember? But he grabbed some tea leaves and brought a thermos. Staying on top of health maintenance, the scene shifted to the Mage Tower. Many reporters had already gathered here waiting for guild news, because many guilds had given up on this strategy, since Count Oscura's power was too strong. They were all observing the current situation. Meanwhile, a guild appeared before everyone. The next second, they were surrounded completely. As the first team to attempt the strategy, did they have a method to defeat the Count Guild? Leader Nam Taemin said. There were currently no strategy techniques available. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. If they truly want to fight for world peace, shouldn't they challenge the rift themselves, rather than watching like cowards from a distance? Next, another guild appeared. Obsidian Guild leader Rox, level 399. Their appearance immediately attracted everyone's attention. Then they mocked Nam Taehyun's guild. With other guilds constantly establishing themselves, their status was gradually declining. Facing the situation, Taemin was also helpless, seeing his brother's worry. The younger brother then said, "We've done well enough, no need to worry about these things." Meanwhile, the older brother asked if he had contacted Li Huoyo. Chillman could only awkwardly respond that due to the sudden situation, he hadn't had time to contact him. The scene shifted to a bus, where Li Huoyo was on his way to the Mage Tower, staring at his phone constantly. This was the 100th magic tutorial he'd watched. He now completely understood magic principles. First, imagine magical elements in the mind, then construct the mana framework and finally release it. The next second, a small flame suddenly appeared in Li Huoyo's hand. And when the flame suddenly grew larger, it startled everyone on the bus. Next, he quickly extinguished the flame. Meanwhile, Li Huoyo checked his attribute window, which shocked him. No magic skill had been added. Usually, learning a skill would immediately display in the attribute window, But it wasn't there now. Was it a bug then? Li Hoi arrived at the mage tower. A tall tower came into view. The deep blue door attracted him. Was this the teleportation gate? Looking at the magic above, Li Hoi vaguely felt a familiar aura. Feeling he could cast teleportation magic. Because he thought this was simpler than the flame just now. So Li Hoi wanted to reach out and investigate. But the next second, he was bumped by a passerby and disappeared from the hall. This made Taemin very embarrassed. But the younger brother noticed that person looked like Li Hoi. No time to think further. The older brother called his brother to analyze this rift. Count Oscurus Rift was located in the Rakshas's empire, divided into inner and outer 3 rings. The outermost area had ordinary monsters with hundreds of entrances, while the inner circle was the boss's territory. If not cleared quickly, he would soon be summoned to the real world. The scene shifted. Li Hoi had now arrived in the Rakshas empire. Seeing this, passers-by were also shocked. Wearing so little in such cold weather. Was this the legendary trading warmth for style? Meanwhile, Li Hoi was even shivering when speaking. This directly startled the passers-by. Then he came to the outer entrance. Looking at the rift before him, count territory outskirts suitable for levels 240 to 270. Destruction progress 9.7%. At this moment, someone inside was frantically and violently hunting monsters. She was Leonie Bellucci, profession berserker level 348. Everyone was used to her violent temper. Was this the legendary violence maniac? However, everyone noticed something abnormal about the monsters, facing their endless slaughter. The monsters showed no fear and made no sounds, unlike creatures from other rifts. Meanwhile, everyone heard fighting sounds from nearby, and monsters were constantly screaming, showing they were very afraid what was happening. So everyone wanted to go check. The scene shifted. Li Hoi picked up his bow and arrow. At this moment, he was recalling the video tutorials he'd watched before, gathering mana at the arrowhead. Though this wasn't a very good arrow, through spell and mana enhancement, it would become extraordinary. As Li Hoi shot, the snow wolf was pierced straight through and burst into flames. Seeing this, the other blood wolves also trembled in fear. In no time, the blood wolves were all killed by Li Hoi. When everyone arrived, they were stunned by the scene before them. A man in a suit and leather shoes sitting leisurely on a rock, savoring tea, looking at the battlefield before them. Everyone found it incredible, finding it hard to associate this with the suited Li Hoi. So, everyone speculated that Li Hoi might have followed another guild and gotten separated from his team here. Meanwhile, Leonie said to Li Hoi, "This place is dangerous. Ordinary people get out quickly." But Li Hoi remained unmoved, continuing to savor his tea. In terms of health maintenance, if Granville ranked second, no one dared rank first. This was the first time someone treated Leonie this way, making her jump up in anger. Meanwhile, everyone sensed approaching danger. The next second, they were surrounded by vampire soldiers. Damn, they accidentally fell into their encirclement. Next, the vampires launched their attack, and Leonie quickly commanded everyone to cooperate. With too many enemies, their formation was quickly scattered. But Leonie said not to worry. The next second, she charged straight at the monsters level 230. Monsters were like cutting vegetables to her. Meanwhile, she also noticed danger in the distance. When she looked back, there was also a group of vampire archers opposite. Damn, they were caught in a pincer attack. Next, the sound of drinking water interrupted everyone. They were shocked. Why hadn't he left yet? Li Hoi ignored them at this moment, just looking at the tea in his cup. But the next second, the monsters launched their attack, countless arrows shooting toward them. On the other side, Li Hoi was condensing magic, infusing mana into the water, then intervening in the water structure. The rest was manifestation. He thought, I need powerful mana, but my current level couldn't possibly provide so much mana. This made Li Hoi very strange. If it were a skill, I would definitely faint immediately after casting, but the spells I use aren't skills. Does that mean I won't be affected at all? A surge of energy quickly gathered and concentrated in the cup, and the next second it emitted a brilliant light. Moments later, a towering earth wall blocked everyone's path. Leonie was equally astonished. Was this alchemy at that moment? Li Hoi murmured from behind. This really isn't a skill, but rather his own magic. However, it interferes with the structure of objects to change their form, making it more like a type of alchemy. So everyone speculated that Li Hoi might be an alchemist. But why would an alchemist come to a battlefield? This left Leonie very puzzled. Meanwhile, the vampires had already circled around the earth wall to attack from the side, and in an instant, everyone was caught in a pincer attack. It seems my tea time will have to be postponed. The monsters immediately launched another attack, and the team quickly prepared for battle. Leone also shouted for Lihoyo to get behind her. After all, an alchemist wouldn't have much combat power, but Lihoyo paid no attention and directly pulled out his bow and arrows. On the other side, two team members couldn't withstand the monster's fierce assault, and one of them was now seriously injured. But the monster showed no mercy, immediately launching another attack. At this critical moment, an attack shot straight toward the monster, and the next second the monster was completely pierced through. When he looked back, it was actually an arrow. But there were no archers in their guild. Lihoy's performance left Leone stunned. Was this guy actually an archer? Then what was that wall about next? Lihoyo condensed magic on his arrow, and a flame-wrapped arrow shot straight at the monster. This left Leone in complete disbelief. The flame he just released was magic. Was this person some kind of monster? One person with three professions. Moments later, the vampires were completely eliminated. Leone, who had been snubbed, was sulking because Lihoyo hadn't said a word to her, just standing there motionless. But if it weren't for his crucial damage output, the team would probably have been in grave danger also. What was the deal with him wearing only a suit in the dead of winter? Was he trying to show off? Then Lihoyo pulled a small packet from his pocket. This guy was actually making tea. Afterward, Lihoyo also looked toward Leone, thinking she might want a cup too. Damn it, this guy actually looks pretty handsome. Her face turned red with embarrassment, and Leone's mind began racing with various thoughts. At the same time, Lihoyo walked over. Is he going to invite me for tea? If he's inviting me for tea for the sake of the tea, I'll forgive his earlier rudeness. Then Lihoyo said, I don't have any tea for you. Leone instantly froze. You damn bastard. Meanwhile, a large crowd of reporters waited at the rift entrance. They were all waiting for the first team to clear the dungeon. The most favored High-On Guild and Obsidian Guild. These were the teams everyone had the most faith in. At the same time, a rift turned blue, indicating that the rift had been cleared. Immediately, reporters swarmed over, and when they saw the team that emerged, they were stunned. It was actually Berserker Warriors. The guild ranked 32nd, but when they saw an H-country player, how could he be with an O-country guild? This left the reporters very puzzled, and one immediately stepped forward to interview Lihoyo. But at this moment, Lihoyo paid no attention to him. His gaze was like that of a wild beast, as if he wanted to tear the reporter apart, frightening the reporter into trembling. Then he turned and left because he was about to freeze to death. Here, he had only one goal: to go home and take a hot shower. The scene shifted, and everyone rushed to interview Leone's guild, but she stated no comment, and mentioned they could interview that man from earlier. That damn bastard. But when she looked around, she couldn't find Lihoyo. He had already left ahead of everyone. This caught Leone completely off guard. This was a chance to become famous. Leone knew Lihoyo had already left and was furious. Clearing a dungeon was such a great achievement, and he just walked away without saying a word. What a strange guy. At the same time, another blue rift appeared. It seemed the second player team was about to emerge. As everyone looked over, it was actually the High-On Guild, looking battered and bruised. Clearly their victory hadn't come easy. When Nam Taemin saw Berserker Warriors, he was equally shocked. We weren't actually the first guild to complete the clear. At the same time, all the reporters rushed forward for interviews. Leone saw this and immediately turned around, letting out a curse word, which left everyone standing. They're stunned. The scene shifted, and at this moment, all the guilds were resting. When Nam Taemin watched today's news, he was instantly furious, because Leone had stated that the High-On Guild was an H-country's best guild, and they had no idea why she would say such a thing. Was it just because she came out a few minutes earlier? This made Taemin so angry he didn't want to eat. After Chillman's analysis, he said what she meant was that she encountered an H-country player in the rift, and he was very outstanding. This left Taemin very puzzled too. Could it be the 41 Stones ranked Mythology Guild? But they were still in the rift at that moment. It couldn't be them. This made the guild leader secretly pleased, yet frustrated. Just who was this guy? And Chillman already had the answer in his heart. If it was that man, everything would make sense on the other side. Lihoyo, having returned home, did the first thing take a hot shower. Indeed, bathing was the most comfortable thing now. Then let me get a good night's sleep. However, Grandfall stopped in his tracks. Then he began cleaning and tidying up, because in the half-day he wasn't home. Dust must have accumulated, and Li Hoyo just stood there dazed. After cleaning, I should fill my stomach first and then brew a cup of health tea. That would be perfect, but at this moment, he felt no sleepiness at all. Afterward, he checked today's battle results. Although there were many spoils of war, not many items were useful for his profession, but his level had indeed improved considerably. Level 86, an increase of 19 levels from before. Additionally, Li Hoi had mastered new magic, and using magic consumed less mana than skills, which was why he could use more magic. However, mana recovery was still very slow, and he had no items that could restore mana. Also, Demon Hunter was a profession with no real benefits, with no related skills whatsoever. If that guild hadn't helped today, the situation would probably have been very bad. He needed to find an opportunity to thank them in person. At the same time, Granville expressed that he still wasn't strong enough. Hearing this, Li Hoyle was also startled because of Granville's personality traits. If someone underestimated him, he would prove himself. On the other hand, if someone overestimated him, he would meet their expectations and make them reality. The next rift, Earl's territory. We no longer have time to relax. I can't rely only on magic. I need to improve my combat skills just like that. Short-haired player today, her movements were particularly noteworthy, so I can learn her movements. But right now the basics are most important. At this moment, Li Hoyo had a bad feeling. Then he opened the training mission. Damn, Grandfall. Only you would do something like training in the middle of the night. Before that, he also washed the dishes first. The scene shifted, and at this moment, under the moonlight, a figure in a suit was exercising while listening to the radio. Just then a news report was broadcast. The Earl's territory outskirts had also been cleared and would soon be open. Then the host frantically interrupted with breaking news. The Earl's territory destruction progress had suddenly jumped to 60%, even though it hadn't been cleared yet. At this rate, it might collapse. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. How could this be? Only one day had passed, and the destruction progress was already at 60%. This had never happened before. According to Chillman's analysis, the stronger the monsters inside, the shorter the time limit for clearing. Did this mean the monsters inside were becoming stronger and stronger? But this was just speculation. At this moment, everyone fell into fear and felt powerless. Damn it, once monsters start pouring out of the rift, all civilians and soldiers in that area will die. At the same time, Li Hoyo was also checking the current situation. This situation not occurring before made sense, because this was information about Arkshan. Vampires were creatures that shared authority through blood. Count Ascura shared his authority with monsters in his territory, and when they died, the authority naturally returned to its master. The Count might have redistributed his authority to monsters within his domain, which was why the monsters there had now become stronger, and the increased destruction rate made sense too. Wait. If we raid the Earl's territory, the Earl's castle might collapse immediately afterward. Damn it, then Grandfall angrily expressed Count Ascura. He wasn't worthy of the title of Count. Nobles don't take back what they've given to others. I will judge this damn fellow. He has stained noble honor. This time he put on his coat, and of course didn't forget his health. Tea leaves. Now it's time to take action. Li Hoyo at the same time. As the Earl's territory destruction progress increased to 70%, the rift had less than 5 hours remaining. At this moment, guilds from various countries had gathered at the perimeter, discussing how to clear the dungeon. And the Earl's territory was different from the outskirts situation. The territory's rift entrances were limited, so at least 2 guilds had to enter each entrance. This was when they had to see which guild to cooperate with, as this could effectively improve efficiency. And there wasn't much time left. But with cooperation came competition. Only those with similar strength could potentially guarantee the guild's interests. According to Chillman's investigation, all major guilds had already assembled at the rift entrance. Fortunately, the Obsidian Guild went north. Otherwise, cooperating with them would probably be very disadvantageous, so they would see which guild would cooperate with them. Just then a shout interrupted everyone. Hearing this, Taiman immediately fired up with fighting spirit. At this moment, a guild appeared before everyone. It was our country's 4th-ranked Lightning Guild. Guild leader Hisagi Kazuma. Player ranked 376th. The moment the 2 teams met, the tension was already thick and they were mocking each other. It seemed that before even entering the rift, the 2 guilds were already at war. At the same time, A group of reporters rushed over and interrupted everyone. Xiaoman was also reminding his brother the rift is still the priority. Now if they compete here, both guilds will suffer losses. But Hisagi Kazuma mocked. The Heian Guild's ranking keeps getting worse. This sudden mockery felt like a knife stabbing both of them. Then let's settle this inside the rift. Then, Xiaoman even gave them an international friendly gesture of greeting. After all, this was about each country's reputation. Subsequently, both guilds rushed to enter the rift. It looked like there would be a tough battle on the other side. The Northern Rift was being tackled by the 15th ranked guild and the 2nd ranked Obsidian Guild, along with Under Heaven as one. The southern one was being tackled by the 30th ranked Berserker Warriors, the 7th ranked Phantom Sun Guild, and the 3rd ranked Bohemia Guild. And now the destruction progress had reached 80%, and people all over the world felt fear and anxiety. At the same time, Li Hoyo was sitting in a pile of ruins. He was already inside the Earl's territory. Was he still drinking tea? Actually, no. He realized that completely. Using up his mana last time was extremely dangerous. He needed to use magic as efficiently as possible in battle, so he was now constantly practicing the skill from last time. Magic designed from skills, transforming existing things into the shape he wanted. Now he could already use some stones to create teacups and tables, but the more complex it was, the more mana it consumed. So its efficiency in battle wasn't high, meaning he could only try to create simple things to maximize his mana usage. At the same time, a group of vampires had already surrounded Li Hoyo. Count Oscura's soldiers level 300. It seemed the Count had granted them authority. Then Li Hoyo slowly raised both hands. Let you pitiful creatures witness what real magic is. In an instant, the ground beneath the soldiers' feet cracked open, and the next second it instantly healed. Just like that, a vampire squad died, without even leaving remains. Surprisingly, this barely consumed any mana. Let's call this replacement magic. At the same time, the Heian Guild was also hunting monsters inside the rift. The dozen or so vampires before them were cleared in moments, and the team immediately cleaned up the battlefield. But at this moment, Timon sensed something was wrong. Because from entering the rift until now, they had only seen a dozen monsters, which seemed unreasonable. Just then, the short-haired girl responsible for reconnaissance returned to report the situation. Hisagi Kazuma's side was the same situation. They had also only hunted down a dozen monsters since entering, and they were walking in the opposite direction from us. The situation is clearly abnormal. Then the Lightning Guild members also appeared tame. And San, is it also very quiet here? It seems we're in the same situation. You damn bastard, the two were ready to fight the moment they met. Clearly, they were like oil and water. Just then, Xiaoman kept calling Timon, because he had reanalyzed the Earl's territory and found that all soldiers were converging in one direction. He frantically asked about their location. Then Timon indicated they were in a square plaza. Hearing this, Xiaoman immediately felt something was wrong and told Timon to leave that place immediately. But it was already too late. And they also sensed large numbers of monsters approaching. It was actually level 350 Count Esquire cavalry. Damn it, it's a trap. Everyone was ready for battle. But the flat terrain here was very favorable for cavalry combat. Their destructive power was nearly doubled. Even with tanks in front, they would still take fatal damage. Was there no way out, to Min-san? Although this isn't a good idea, we have no choice but to cooperate right now. Just then, another cavalry unit appeared behind them as well. Damn it, they've blocked all our escape routes. Chillman also sent other news. The Obsidian Guild and Under Heaven as one were also ambushed and currently suffering heavy losses. I told them not to fight on flat ground, but to lure them to a narrow alley. But now they didn't even have a retreat route. Where could they go just then? Magic condensed above everyone, and the next second the floor shook violently. What followed was the ground directly fracturing, and instantly rising stone pillars shot up, toppling cavalry and horses. Both teams were stunned, not knowing what had happened. In no time, a stone forest appeared before them. They had never heard of any player who could create such obstacles. In an instant, at the same time, a man slowly approached at this moment. Xiaolan guessed it might be that man, but it should be impossible. How could he appear there? When Timon finished describing his appearance, Xiaolan exclaimed, "It really is him." Li Hoyo on the other side, a reporter, had also secretly followed the Heian Guild into the rift, and at this moment he was doing a live broadcast. Then he was also shocked by these sudden stone pillars, so he went forward to investigate. And as one of the world's top-ranked guilds, they had never seen such a spectacle either. The entire battlefield terrain had been reversed. Hisagi Kazuma was also curious about who this monster was. Did he not need to chant spells to cast magic? Did his mana have no limit? Also, he had no combat equipment on the battlefield, yet wore casual suits and leather shoes. What a strange guy just then. Large numbers of cavalry charged out from the stone forest. Seeing this, everyone felt trouble. But the stone pillars hindered them, slowing down the cavalry's speed. And Taman also understood Li Huo's intention. With these stone pillars now it was time to counterattack. Then he activated the Berserker's unique passive ability Rage. At this moment the vampires found the terrain unfavorable, but it was already too late. Taman charged forward to the enemy, and the next second split both rider and horse into 4 pieces. Then came another thunder half-moon slash. An enemy several meters away fell one after another. Seeing this, everyone charged. The chance to turn the tables had come. At this moment, they were fighting fiercely with the cavalry, and it was the stone pillars that gave them the will to fight. And all of this was being recorded by the distant reporter. An unremarkable-looking mage had reversed the battle situation. Most importantly, he was actually fighting cavalry alone. Had he forgotten, he was a mage. This left the live stream viewers dumbfounded. Then Li Huo pulled out a dagger. Just as he was about to finish off this vampire, he stopped his movement, looking at the dagger's durability and thinking, if I use the dagger it will definitely reduce its durability. Granfel's quirk, he was very protective of his weapons. But what if I interfere with the dagger's mana to change its shape, then restore it to normal? Wouldn't the durability also restore? When I turned stone into a teacup, it had the durability of a teacup. When I used replacement magic to restore it to its original state, it became a stone again with no durability data. If this hypothesis was correct, then changing it back to its original state would restore the durability to its initial state. Then Li Huo activated replacement magic, and the short dagger instantly became a long spike. Moments later, when Li Huo changed it back to a dagger, its durability was indeed back to 100%. This way he could save quite a bit on repair costs. This operation left even Timing stunned. When the battle ended, everyone cleaned up the battlefield, and it was also Li Huo's tea time. Tamin also confirmed he was the one who had saved his brother. To meet him here was like finding a needle in a haystack, so they had to invite him to join the guild. If the Lightning Guild got to him first, that would be terrible. It would satisfy his demands at any cost, even if they had to sell everything they owned to get him. At the same time, the reporter stepped forward for an interview, and people from both teams enthusiastically came over to greet him, asking where he was from and whether he had joined a guild. For a moment, all attention was focused on Li Huo. At this moment, Nam Tamin also squeezed into the crowd and introduced to Li Huo that he had previously invited Li Huo to join the High-On Guild, but he felt very uncomfortable, unable to find any sense of ceremony here, because Granville felt that interviews were very formal affairs, so he stated he wouldn't answer any questions, and told Nam Taeyong not to block his way. This directly stunned everyone present. The scene shifted, and at this moment, the internet was flooded with news about Li Huo. All major guilds were discussing him, with his popularity overshadowing even the Obsidian Guild, which made their guild leader very uncomfortable. At the same time, he was also analyzing Li Huo's performance today. Their team members had been discussing this for hours with the captain, asking for their opinions on Li Huo. Camilla said, I don't know either. I'm just an archer. Dimitri expressed his breakdown. This question has been asked hundreds of times today. They had no information about Li Huo whatsoever. Rox also fell into deep thought. Camilla looked at Li Huo on the screen and said, he does look pretty cool. But why don't we just investigate him directly? The broken-down Dimitri said, he must be jealous. We clearing the dungeon first should have made us famous. But now everyone's talking about this guy. Hearing this, Rox also thought this was possible. And now the media always exaggerated and hyped up newcomers. They just did it to increase views and forcefully promoted him. He felt it must be like this. Otherwise it couldn't be explained. But he still felt there were big secrets about this Li Huo. At the same time, footsteps were slowly approaching. Seeing the skills Li Huo released, she also said they were pretty cool. This person was the mage Jesse Haynes. And she immediately saw the key point. What Li Huo used wasn't magic. Rox also didn't expect the mage who never praised anyone would actually speak up at the same time. She kept pondering Li Hoyo because she found Li Hoyo very interesting. On the other side, the Berserker Warriors team, looking at Li Hoyo on screen, also widened their eyes. Leonie was directly furious. She knew Li Hoyo wasn't a simple character. I must have been blind. I didn't manage to recruit Li Hoyo in time. At the same time, the Lightning Guild's leadership also noticed Li Hoyo and stated they had to bring him to their guild. No matter what, Hisagi Kazuma also thought he was a decent guy. The TV station was also summarizing this raid. The Earl family's territory had been successfully cleared, as well as the territory's outskirts. And the Obsidian Guild had surpassed Under Heaven as one. To become number one, now only the Earl family's fortress remained, and players from around the world had gathered together, because the rift's risk was very high. The atmosphere in the base camp was very tense. If the fortress collapsed, then Roxa country would be destroyed. At the same time, Li Hoyo was also watching today's news. A mysterious player appeared completely unarmed, with only a long coat and suit. And they even brought in experts to analyze why he carried no equipment. Perhaps he knew the secret method to clearing rifts, and only Li Hoyo himself knew that. Wearing only a coat was because he had no equipment. As for him building stone pillars with his bare hands, experts speculated that Li Hoyo knew the enemy's problem lay in their mobility, so he changed the terrain. This left Li Hoyo speechless because he only knew that one move, and him standing there after casting his skill was like him saying, "It's time for you to shine." It seemed Li Hoyo was very socially aware, giving the opportunity to both guilds. Li Hoyo didn't expect the experts to be so outrageous. He was just resting there because he was out of mana. But it was fine, it didn't cause everyone to complain. And he also got a very good piece of rare equipment. This was the first good item he'd gotten since becoming a player. Bloodthirst Curse Necklace. Due to being cursed by demon vampires, it was currently in a sealed state, so it had to be purified before use. These cursed items were called demon items. Once the curse was lifted, the effects would be unlocked. But most players would choose to discard such items, because they could choose better ones. Because the cost of lifting curses was quite terrible, no one would risk it. But there was another correct way to use cursed items. Demon Hunter's unique exorcism ritual could purify them, just like how they only attack demons without harming possessed people. But with this sacrifice it was different. Granfell could invite demons into his consciousness, which was similar to the status abnormality demons cause to humans. Although if your mental state wasn't good, you might be possessed by demons. But if I could stay conscious, fighting demons in consciousness was more advantageous for me. At the same time, Namtaemin also called him, which left Li Hoyo very puzzled. Was it because the interview earlier had embarrassed them, so they were calling to sue him? But Li Hoyo couldn't answer the phone right now, because Granfell would mess it up. Let's politely send him a message asking him not to sue. And the two brothers on the other side were directly stunned. He only replied with one word. The same as last time, let's focus on the rift for now. At the same time, Taimin was also analyzing Li Hoyo. What did he mean by not enough ceremony? Was my etiquette wrong? Really hard to figure out. Taimin noticed the scene was like a market, and his eyebrows were twitching, indicating he was controlling his anger. But since he wouldn't answer the phone, there was nothing they could do. They'd have to think of another way. The destruction progress had reached 83%, so they needed to hurry. Just then, the ground suddenly shook violently. This also startled both of them. Was it an earthquake? Then urgent news came. The innermost Earl family fortress suddenly collapsed, and the rift's destruction rate had been around 80%, but it suddenly caused massive casualties. And Ratcha country was requesting aid from other countries. At this moment, a castle came into view, and everyone felt it was incredible. It seems just as I guessed. He withdrew his authority, so he became stronger. Then Li Hoyo slowly walked forward. At this time they noticed he was the person from TV. How dare he go forward alone? Everyone was talking. Was he seeking death? At the same time Li Hoyo came before the statue. What an ugly statue, such poor taste. Hearing this, the statue's eyes flashed with red light. Could the statue actually move? Then it slowly rose, revealing terrible killing intent. Everyone was shocked seeing this. It looked like a giant, over 10 meters tall. Its great sword was swinging toward Li Hoyo. Was he seeking death? But in Li Hoyo's eyes, this was just a broken piece of stone. At the same time, he slowly raised his arm. The statue's attack struck directly at Li Hoyo. He calmly moved his finger, and the statue was dismembered into pieces. The Obsidian Guild in the distance also sensed the sounds of fighting. The sound just now was the same as in the video. Was that man casting skills? This made Jessie very curious. So she immediately turned around. Because she really wanted to know what skill Lee Hoyo was using, although his skills looked like magic. Then she leaped up, stepping on magic barriers and moving in that direction. The scene shifted, and watching Lee Hoyo's performance, everyone froze in place with just one move. This giant was gone now. Stone could be easily decomposed for Lee Hoyo. At this moment, Grandfall complained that it was a poorly made statue, low grade in texture, material, and craftsmanship. They put a piece of garbage in the garden, as if it was something they were proud of. Moments later, other players rushed forward because with the gate guardian gone, now is the time to counterattack. At the same time, the mission refreshed. At this moment, Demon Hunter profession. Mission prelude to counterattack. Hunt vampires and make him feel the fear of being hunted. Unexpectedly, a new mission suddenly refreshed. At this moment, Lee Hoy was calculating what the mission conditions were, and what did making him feel fear mean. But Grandfell had already started taking action, because there was no more time to hesitate. Count Oscuro was already level 430, while he was only level 100. In Grandfell's eyes, there was no level difference because he was a demon hunter, and hunting demons was his duty. Lee Hoyle was instantly speechless. My body will be killed by him sooner or later. The scene shifted, and Lee Hoyle had already appeared in the banquet hall. The setup here made him feel very uncomfortable, with vampire portraits everywhere, creating great negative effects on players. But Grandfall wouldn't be affected at all. On the other side, the High-On Guild had also arrived at the castle, but at this moment they could no longer advance among these paintings, because the vampire interference had a very strong effect. On other players, they felt like they could barely breathe. Fortunately, there was a healing mage restoring their status. They also noticed it was these paintings causing the problem, feeling like countless eyes were staring at them. Chillman knew this was the abnormal mental interference state. At the same time, they heard sounds from the other side of the wall. These ugly paintings, then Lee Hoyo directly burned them, and they should have felt the pressure decreasing. According to Chillman's analysis, everything in the castle was a trap. All statues, portraits, and indoor items caused physical abnormalities. This explained why the Obsidian Guild people didn't enter through the main entrance, and Berserker players were more susceptible to status abnormalities. But if just the portraits in the entrance hallway were so irresistible, they dared not imagine how bad things would get once they went deeper. On the other side, Lee Hoyle kept complaining about the portraits. Absolute shit. How could they eat while looking at these terrible pictures? Just how strong were their stomachs? Grandfell was extremely critical of the layout. These sculptures were also terrible. I almost felt sorry for those stones. They had to endure being carved just to become uglier than before. Now I understand why they called narcissism a disorder. The castle layout was also a mess, with a bunch of unnecessary forks in the corridors. If they really thought about this layout before building, their heads must have been just for decoration. Lee Hoyo couldn't help but complain. You're saying more here than 12 TV episodes combined at the same time. A large door caught Lee Hoyo's attention at the end of the passage, and emanating a sinister aura. This must be that guy's lair. Considering the layout, this must be the center of the castle. Grandfell's instinct told Lee Hoyle. Behind the door was a vampire count, and it was very quiet here. No other players had made it this far yet. The next second, a long-haired girl made Lee Hoyle jump with surprise. Finally found you, your magic is amazing. Faced with Jesse's questions, Lee Hoyle remained unmoved. But he was also very curious about how she could float in the air. He had always been very careful about using mana, yet this woman used it like water. At this moment, Jesse kept asking questions incessantly, saying they could study magic together. This made Grandfell think she was very rude. Then Lee Hoy mentioned etiquette, and Jesse was stunned. Then he gently tugged at Jesse's clothing. Please mind your behavior. This is the minimum requirement for someone requesting to learn. Jessie looked at him bewildered. This was the first time someone said her behavior was crude. Was this man a demon at the same time? Lee Hoyle sensed an evil aura, and the great door opened. It was the vampire Count Lee Hoyle's passive ability. Nemesis also activated. Looking at the two people before him, the vampire said, I didn't expect two humans to wake me up. Are you ready to die? Jessie quickly signaled to Lee Hoyle. We're no match for him. We need to request backup from others. And Lee Hoyle laughed and said, how interesting, Oscura. This man actually wasn't afraid. This stunned the vampire at the same time. Granville takes out the full blood-cursed necklace, and the exorcism ritual automatically activates. You vulgar vampire, let me teach you a lesson. Let me show you what true nobility is. This makes Lee Hoyle suddenly startled. Although he had said earlier that he would use it to bring Oscura into his consciousness, for battle would it really be safe? After all count, as Kira is level 430, and if something goes wrong, Lee Hoyle might get possessed. Seeing this, the vampire is also very confused. He actually took out a piece of junk necklace. Facing the vampire's powerful pressure, Granville shows no fear whatsoever. Foolish human. I like your arrogance, but no matter how confident you are, you're nothing more than a lowly insect in my eyes. At the same time, he is also reclaiming the soldier's authority. Jesse also senses something is wrong, and asked Lee Hoyle if there's any way to handle this. Damn it, Lee Hoyle can certainly see that. He's already over 300 levels higher than Lee Hoyle. If he absorbs all the authority he shared, the gap will become even greater. But the next second the sacrifice shatters. It seems the sacrifice was successful. In an instant the vampire feels an uneasy aura. Then his vision goes dark and he appears in another place. That's right, his consciousness has entered Granville's mental realm. At this moment Granville sits atop a mountain, observing the vampire with an air of absolute confidence. When the vampire looks around, he discovers that Granville is on the mountaintop. He knows this is an illusion created by the man before him. But this is just child's play to him, because he can easily destroy this place. He then excitedly activates his skills. In the blink of an eye, countless attacks bombard Granville. The entire mountaintop is covered in flames, billowing with thick smoke. As long as I eliminate the caster, won't the illusion automatically be dispelled? I thought I could experience your techniques, but you've already turned to ash. At this moment the vampire is laughing continuously. Do you think that's all I am? Is this the extent of my power? Oscura, hearing this, the vampire is suddenly startled. As the smoke gradually clears, the scene before him leaves the vampire incredulous. He didn't expect Lee Hoyle to still be alive. Well then Oscura looked carefully at who actually died. When the vampire looks at Lee Hoyle again, he breaks out in a cold sweat. The mountaintop from before has become his own body. Then fear spreads throughout the vampire's entire being. At the same time, the vampire in reality also falls into a state of fear, and his magic power is causing destruction all around. Seeing this, Jesse is also very confused. What exactly is happening? Lee Hoyle is still standing here, but Count Oscura is furious. Immediately Granville says, Oscura, you seem very afraid. The vampire only feels his head splitting with pain, and he cannot escape from his consciousness. The next second, a powerful magical force instantly erupts, blasting the entire roof apart. Seeing this, Granville is also very satisfied, and Lee Hoyle finally breathes a sigh of relief. After all, that was a level 400 plus monster. Jesse looks at Lee Hoyle with admiration. What kind of magic did he use? Lee Hoyle's exorcism ritual is a skill that only attacks demons, without harming the possessed. And using different sacrifices produces different effects. The cursed necklace's effect is to forcibly invite the demon into the demon hunter's consciousness. Whoever gains the upper hand in the situation depends on whose intelligence is higher. But Granville could never be affected by demons or such things, unless someone spilled his tea. Then Jesse asks Lee Hoyle what drove the vampire into madness. The vampire who saw his own death only wants to escape from here. A moment later, a passive notification appears. Vampire Count Oscura has been inflicted with fear. This looks just like the fear status abnormality that demons inflict on humans. At the same time, the mission is also completed. At this moment, it's time to finish him off. Then Lee Hoyle takes out his short sword and slowly approaches. Looking at the vampire before him, he strikes without hesitation. But the situation before him leaves him stunned, because the attack just now didn't cause him any damage at all. Could it be that the level gap between them is too great? Then he signals Jesse to act. But Jesse knows her magic cannot eliminate him and steps forward, saying, if possible, please teach me, damn it. There's no other way, I can only try to teach her. Lee Hoyle speaks, so we need to hurry. Jesse didn't expect this man would actually be willing. Under Lee Hoyle's guidance, Jesse quickly gathers magic. A high-level mage casting spells even changes the color of the sky. The next second, a purple lightning bolt descends from heaven, striking directly at the vampire. Looking at everything before him, Granville remains unmoved at the same time. Li Huio's level continuously increases. A moment later, Count Vampire is reduced to nothing but ash. Is this the power of a high-level player? She instantly killed a level 430 monster with one strike. Jessie looks at this pile of ash with great curiosity. Then she reaches out to dab a little. And her next action makes even Granfel's eyes widen. She actually puts the vampire's ash in her mouth. Whose silly girl is this? Did she faint from hunger? At the same time, the mission completion notification appears and a new mission follows. Just then a voice interrupts them. The two are players from the Obsidian Guild. All abnormal statuses on their bodies have disappeared, and they're rushing over urgently. Rox also notices this man before him. Then Jessie expresses her great gratitude for his guidance. Although the magic just now wasn't very familiar, I will do my best. My name is Jessie Haynes. If I'm not being rude, may I ask your name again? This leaves everyone stunned. She was indeed impolite before, but she's willing to change and learn. I should tell her my name as a reward. Then Li Huio slowly states his name. Li Huio. The scene shifts, and Li Huio has now returned home. His first task is to clean the bedroom once more. Although he was only out for half a day, he cannot be careless about this. At the same time, his phone vibrates violently. But he doesn't answer any calls because after defeating Oscura, his face appeared all over the media. This undoubtedly exposed him, and his family will eventually discover he's become a player, because now they already have. Li Huio's phone is full of their missed calls. This leaves him suddenly stunned. Li Huio has 3 older sisters. They've been close since childhood. Except for Li Huio, because he was the one who got bullied by them since he was little. Although Li Huio knows they care about him very much, whenever Li Huio thinks of those sisters, his head starts aching at this moment. A little girl is watching the news on TV. The next second, she doesn't even want her toys anymore and runs straight to her mother, constantly tugging at her clothes and pointing at the TV. Nearby uncles on TV. This makes her very curious because she thinks this is impossible. When she looks at the TV, she's suddenly stunned. The TV is showing a video of Li Huio conquering a dungeon. The eldest sister can't believe her eyes, while the little niece looks on with admiration. A moment later, Li Huio's room door is suddenly knocked on. Startling him, it's his sister's voices. It seems because Li Huio didn't answer his phone, they came looking for him. This makes him very panicked. Li Huio knew they would come at the same time. The room door slowly opens, and 3 women appear in his field of vision. At this moment, he is changed into a neat suit and looks very noble. Then he says, "You are the annoying neighbors. First of all, be quiet." My sister's hearing this. They are directly stunned in place. You guy at this moment. Chillman is still watching today's news. Still content related to Li Huio. But he only left a name before departing. Not only in Korea, but the whole world is paying attention to this mysterious man. He has now become a must-have for all major guilds. Looking at Xiaoman's helpless expression right now, Taemin asks him why he's so depressed. Xiaoman feels they have no way to recruit Li Huio, but Taemin doesn't think so. He's still most likely to come find us. We have his phone number and a reason to contact him. Hearing this, Chillman is also very curious. The spoils we obtained from the Count's family territory plaza. First we should thank him. So isn't it polite to share with him? Hearing this, Chillman also understands his brother's intention. So how much money are you planning to give him? Taemin says money doesn't matter. Even if we can't get him to join the game guild, I want to make sure we can leave an impression on him. To do that, we'll give him all the loot we obtained. Call him right away. This suddenly stuns Chillman. Are you serious? So that's why you crushed the cup? At the same time, Li Huio's phone is vibrating. But he doesn't have time to answer right now, because his little niece is braiding his hair. Perhaps only she dares to mess with Li Huio's hairstyle. After all, he's the man who makes demons flee in terror. The one laughing happily is his eldest sister, Li Eun. He ranked 3rd in the family. The one laughing until her stomach hurts is second sister Li Ji-eun, ranked 4th in the family. The one looking worried is third sister Li Yelam, ranked 5th in the family. According to current rankings, Li Huio doesn't even make the top 6. Then the third sister asks, "So you've synchronized with your character?" This makes them think of 10 years ago, when Li Huio was constantly babbling about Granfell and such, even wanting to dye his hair silver. For Li Huio, these are definitely dark history. But jokes aside, how are you doing now? The 3 sisters are very worried about his safety. After all, being a player is a very dangerous profession. Many people never return. Li Huio not answering his phone made them very worried. If you encounter difficulties, you can give up, okay? Remember, we'll always be on your side. Hearing this, Li Hoyol is very moved. I'm sorry for making you sisters worry, but I am a demon hunter, Grandfall. Claudie, Orpheus, Romeo. I'm very suited for this job. Hearing this, the sisters are also stunned. It seems our worry was unnecessary. After tasting Li Hoyol's proud tea ceremony, it's getting late. Well, today's gathering ends here. Then Li Hoyo sees them off. Just then the third sister mentions one more thing. You must save money properly. Li Hoyo is suddenly stunned. Saving money is impossible. I'll never save money in this lifetime. Then he thinks of the dungeon rewards. Players' main source of income comes from the game developers. The amount varies according to difficulty and contribution rate. This is a reward that CEO Sean pays out of his own pocket. So let's see how much bonus the last mission will have. When Li Hoyo slowly moves his hand away from the numbers, 10 million or 20 million, but this is clearly more. Could it be 100 million? The scene shifts to the Obsidian Guild. Camilla is asking Jessie how she defeated the Count, and what's the deal with the magically Hoyo alt. It looks like you're familiar with him. But Jessie says she doesn't understand him. Then why do you keep watching these strange videos? Faced with Camilla's constant questioning, Jessie becomes very annoyed. Who would have thought the quiet girl could be so scary when angry? This makes Camilla surrender directly. But she's still very confused. Why does Jessie keep watching videos about learning etiquette? Is it that interesting at this moment? Jessie is still constantly studying. The next second a message catches her attention. On the other side, Li Hoyol is jaw-dropped by the number before him. It actually has 12 digits. That's 11 billion. How rich is this guy named Sean? How should he spend this huge sum? At this moment, Li Hoyol has fallen into the money trap, but Grandfell is disdainful. Are you this happy over a little money? Shut up, you noble. At the same time, Li Hoyo recalls the loot obtained from the Count's territory. The vampire's magic orb is currently still in a cursed state. For others, cursed items can only be thrown away as garbage, because the possibility of removing curses is very low. But demon hunters can use them as sacrifices for exorcism rituals. Using garbage, so well, how suitable for waste recycling work. Grandfall is immediately speechless. Can you have some ambition? There's also the sacrificed full-blood cursed necklace. Li Hoyo thought this thing would disappear. But unexpectedly, it's still in his inventory, and its curse has been removed. He guesses the exorcism ritual replaced the purification ritual. Currently, Li Hoyo has the magic orb and necklace, plus so much money he finally doesn't have to worry about rent anymore. In the blink of an eye, it's midnight. Li Hoyo still can't fall asleep, because he's still thinking about how to handle this money. Should he open a savings account? But what if he gets scammed? Should he discuss it with family first? Maybe he should buy better equipment, since he must constantly enter rifts. But buying equipment suitable for this level now feels wasteful, because Li Hoy is leveling up very quickly. After killing Oscura, Li Hoy's level increased by 34. He's now reached level 134. Considering the leveling speed, buying equipment suitable for this level now is obviously uneconomical. Also, mana recovery items hardly ever go on sale. Even when discounted, they're very expensive. But are these things Li Hoyo should be considering now? After all, he's now a multi-millionaire. Seeing this, Granville says if he doesn't sleep soon, dark circles will appear, so let's call it a day. The scene shifts to the next day. The association is now gathering many experts and elite personnel. They're analyzing all of Li Hoyo's skills. From the skills, many people agree it's alchemy. But many experts deny this. Because pillar magic as tall as mountains requires enormous mana. No one would possess such high mana. They're almost ready to fight over this matter. The Analysis Association people are also getting headaches. Wherever they go, they can hear news about Li Hoyo. He's now known by everyone. And there's no one using the ID Li Hoyo in the Arcana database. They don't know if this is his real name or an alias. But there are more important things to do now. Because today is Thursday. New rifts will be updated today. Just then the version interface updates. This time the game is adding a new area. Yusra Archipelago. This island is called Treasure Island. In the game, everything that grows and lives there is priceless. Real-world treasures cannot compare to it. It's a very mysterious area, belonging to a hidden dungeon that no one could find, now appearing in the real world. This will surely cause a sensation. Among major guilds, the Mage Association will now convene a new meeting. Li Hoyol is also following today's news. He learns from it that Jessie Ranked 4th is also attending this meeting. This leaves Li Hoyol at a loss. Last time we said she was impolite. Now we're done for Granville doesn't think so. Then today's primary task is to go to the Mage Association. There's a saying the Mage Tower has magic. No skills when Arcana was still a game. This phrase appeared in the Mage Tower's description. Li Hoyol doesn't know what this scholarly organization is, but it might help him so before that. Let's wash the dishes. Li Hoyol is suddenly stunned. Don't most people leave immediately? The scene shifts to the Mage Tower. Many mages are already gathering here. A little Loli is watching the pedestrians here, as if waiting for something. She's a member of the Mage Tower Claire. Just as she's lost in thought, a person walks past her the next second. The pedestrian falls toward her, but she shows no intention of dodging. The man crashes heavily to the ground. Surprisingly, the man didn't hit Claire. It turns out there's a spatial barrier here. People outside cannot see what's inside. Seeing this, she feels very bored. At the same time, a voice interrupts her. Then Jessie slowly walks in, passing directly through the wall. This spatial barrier was set by the Tower Master without an invitation. It's very difficult for anyone to see through this magic. Claire is very nervous seeing Jessie. The pedestrians outside are incredulous. Jessie just walked into the wall. Then Claire guides Jessie to the meeting hall. Now all members have almost arrived. Just then Jessie senses a familiar aura approaching. Then she tells Claire wait 2 minutes, because Jessie feels he's coming. At the same time, Li Hoyol also arrives at the Mage Tower, looking at the giant crystal before him. He thinks where would their meeting room be? He didn't expect the Mage Tower to be so lively. These people are probably all wanting to go to use for Archipelago. Then a voice interrupts all the pedestrians. It's player Li Hoyol hearing this. Everyone's attention falls on Li Hoyol. And Li Hoyol also senses trouble. He should have worn a mask when going out. Then everyone swarms toward him, holding notebooks and rushing up for autographs and photos. One person grabs his backpack from behind, saying if he doesn't take a photo with them, they won't let go. Seeing this, Granville is very angry because it contains something very important. His tea leaves, then he just says one word: scram. The pedestrians are also stunned. If Li Hoyol disappoints these people, he might get less attention. This is a good method, but the next second, this person grabbing the bag gets excited. Are these people masochists? They actually want Li Hoyol to say it again. At the same time, the wall nearby catches Li Hoyol's attention. This wall looks different from the others. It seems to have mana flowing. There might be secrets hidden inside. Then Li Hoyol steps forward to check. He doesn't know if it's a mechanism, but this wall gives him a different feeling. The next second, Claire blushes and acts like a fangirl, and Li Hoyol appears in the wall. I knew this place was different. Now they're heading to the meeting hall. At this moment, Claire is also very curious about who this guy is. At the same time, she's constantly searching through the roster, because she remembers all invited people should have already arrived, even after rechecking the invitation list. This person isn't on it. Just then, Li Hoyol asks if there's any problem hearing this. Claire suddenly thinks about what just happened, making her very shy, and she quickly says, "There's no problem, but do you really not have an invitation?" Li Hoyol gives an affirmative answer. At this moment, she's thinking, since the illusion was set by the Tower Master, even high-level mages couldn't see through it without an invitation. So how did he get through? Li Hoyol looks at Claire with confusion. Why is she blushing? Does she have a fever? Then Granville asks if he can't participate without an invitation. Claire waves her hand, indicating otherwise. Even without an invitation, anyone who can see through the magic barrier can participate. At this moment, Li Hoyol doesn't know what she's whispering about. It turns out, she wants to see if there's Li Hoyol's contact information. Well, if there's no problem, let's go. Li Hoyol looks at the stairs before him. This should be some kind of illusion magic. Maybe when my mana reaches 1000, I can copy it, but I need to know the magic theory behind it. The scene shifts and he arrives at the meeting hall. What meets his eyes is a crystal venue. He didn't expect the interior to be so large. Claire explains that this is where mages research, discuss, and study when Arcana became reality. The NPCs from the game also appeared in the real world. The most influential among them is the youngest chief mage Marcello, who is called the future successor of the Mage Tower. He hasn't disappointed his nickname, because he was the fastest to discover the world situation. He created entirely new magical knowledge, and is also the leader of the Academic Association. Jessie's had explained a whole bunch to her, almost putting her to sleep. A moment later, the meeting officially begins. At the same time, Marcelo discusses theoretical examination and intervention of magic. He notices many people aren't paying attention. He says being able to come here is a major's greatest honor. Participating in this noble knowledge discussion, I hope you can take it seriously rather than coming for my tasks. This tower being summoned to the real world has many reasons, and rifts are constantly updating, requiring players to continuously grow stronger. But many players aren't used to using NPC magic, just as NPCs have difficulty understanding real-world science. But to find the cause and restore world peace, we must work together therefore. Today's topic relates to science. Marcelo sees the possibility of further developing magic through science. For this, there's an uproar below. Seeing this, he directly condenses a fusion magic in his hand. This is a combination of science and magic. I'll call it ignition, but he says, we should be cautious about nuclear fusion methods, because we don't know what variables are involved when two very different things combine. Jesse finds this very interesting. So I need help from others to research together. Everyone finally understands this is an NPC quest. What are the conditions to trigger it? At the same time, Marcelo says, if anyone has objections, they can raise them at any time. Just then a silver-haired man raises his hand. There are some unnecessary things in the examination, just like the magic you displayed earlier. Everyone discusses among themselves. Is he questioning the chief mage? Now seeing this, Marcelo falls silent for a moment. He's never seen this man before. Unnecessary things, perhaps this man can bring different answers. Then Marcelo asks, why do you think so? Lihoy explains it's simple. Because there's a gap between them. Magic and science are two completely different concepts. In the process of combining the two, some unnecessary things appeared. I've experienced similar gaps between skills and magic. As he speaks, flames burn in his hand. Seeing this, Marcelo is also stunned. This magic took him several months of research to understand. How did this player do it? Lihoyo feels the skill still has shortcomings, because it consumes too much mana. At the same time, everyone also notices that the person before them is player Lihoyo. At this moment, he actually shows a slight smile, because he just discovered that using centripetal force can improve magical efficiency. Just then Marcelo calls out to him. This makes Lihoyo very confused. Does he not approve? Then he very sincerely invites Lihoyo to do magical research together. The next second the quest panel suddenly appears. This research counts as a quest too. It seems I didn't come to this place for nothing. The scene shifts to Usra Kapalago. At this moment the Berserker squad arrives on the island first. Well, I think we should bring some swimsuits. After all, the scenery here is nice. Hearing this, Leone gets very angry. Are we here for vacation? He didn't expect so many players to have already gathered here. I think we should relax. The woman even kisses Leone, while Leone looks disgusted. The two others are stunned, daring to kiss the guild leader. You're really brave. Just then, they also notice some people. Those should be NPC guilds, Lionheart Knights and Shadow Mercenaries, as well as the Adventurers Alliance. It seems everyone is determined to get the treasure. Leone didn't expect they'd have to compete with NPCs too at the same time. Her phone rings. It's their mage who attended the magic gathering. She says very frantically that player Lihoyo was also at the meeting. He told the Mage Association's chief mage that his spell contained unnecessary elements. Hearing this, Leone can't stop laughing. Did he really say that? I knew he could do such things. Seeing this, everyone knows she holds a grudge against Lihoyo for not inviting her for tea last time. But the next second she suddenly freezes, because the chief mage admitted his mistake and even issued an NPC quest to him. On the other side, Lihoyo looks at the list in his hand. Marcelo says whatever he needs, he will do his utmost to find it. Hearing this, Lihoyo is also stunned. With NPC help he must make a fortune. The scene shifts. Marcelo is summoned here. He respectfully bows to the elder, but the fifth elder directly gives him a show of force. Then he says, I heard you invited a player to research with you. The Mage Tower doesn't interfere with player affairs, yet you violated the tower's rules. To this, Marcelo explains. Player Lihoyo completely understands magical concepts and seems to have bridged the gap between magic and science. His magic is extremely helpful to the world. We can't let the world become worse due to rule constraints. But the fifth elder directly refutes him and makes him take responsibility. This disappoints Marcelo greatly. Then he leaves. He also knows the fifth elder is targeting him. That damn old stubborn fool. When facing reality, he only knows how to shirk responsibility. Who knows how long the Tower Master wants to remain silent? Just then Claire encounters him. She looks at Marcelo with admiration, greets him. What wind brought you here? She then says she's helping Lee Hoyle get what he wanted. Hearing this, Marcelo directly says, I'll take it over. This suddenly surprises Claire. Is this really okay? I happen to have business with him now. Then Claire gives him the items. Please trouble the chief. The scene shifts. Granfell is flipping through the magic book before him. Marcelo then takes out the items he requested earlier. Frozen knowledge, gem essence of the sun, Doran's ring, and various magic books. Is Mr. Lee Hoyle satisfied? Looking at the valuable equipment before him, Lee Hoyle is very dissatisfied. Do you think these things are really suitable for me? I'm only level 134 now, and these items require players of at least level 500 to use. Hearing this, Marcelo is also stunned and deeply apologetic. I misjudged you. Then he takes out a hexagonal star brooch. Seeing this, Li Hoi Yao is very satisfied. Without any special requirements, it can restore 10% mana. This is his ideal equipment. I'll borrow this item. Then at the same time, Marcelo says, the quest he issued earlier cannot continue due to elder opposition, for which he deeply apologizes. Lee Hoyo also feels regretful about this. I very much look forward to our next quest. If we cooperate, we might be able to change this mage tower. Granfell is very happy, because he finally solved the problem of slow mana recovery. A moment later, Lee Hoyo returns home. At this moment, the two are discussing whether to go to Yusra Archipelago, but Lee Hoy says there's no reason to go. We're only level 134 now, and there are level 400 magical beasts everywhere. Plus, demon hunters only get bonuses against demon attacks. If we rashly go, and we'd just be sending ourselves to death. But if there are demons inside, I can try going just then. A quest suddenly appears. Find the 7 deadly sins of Yusra Archipelago. Seeing this, Lee Hoyal is also stunned. How should I investigate there? Because I basically defeated Countess Skuro by luck. Wouldn't going to use your archipelago rashly be dangerous? At the same time, Granfell says, but now there's no reason to hesitate anymore. If evil exists, we must eliminate it. Then he grabs some tea bags and brings his thermos. Head to User Archipelago immediately. Lee Hoyo is speechless. At least change out of the suit. That's a tropical archipelago. The scene shifts and Lee Hoyo arrives on the island. The moment he steps on the island, he's targeted by a small reporter. Facing such hot weather, Granfield doesn't care at all, but Lee Hoyo feels like he's going to die from the heat. Just then, he smells an evil aura. The jungle is surrounded by thick miasma, and his nemesis skill also activates this intense influence. Compared to ordinary demons, Lee Hoyo feels like demons are right under his feet, making him very uneasy. But there's also a benefit. The nemesis skill will remain constantly activated. Lee Hoyle's every move is being broadcast live by the reporter. He's moving very carefully. This island might have a hidden dungeon. Did he notice something? Lee Hoyle is already getting scared, because this place looks very much like a resort, easily making people let their guard down. But Granfell just wants to find the most powerful opponent. Just then a shout interrupts him. Someone is fighting in no time. 2 people appear before Lee Hoyo. They're retreating steadily. The archer can't aim at his position, because the light reflecting from his body is too dazzling. It's a level 420 Emerald Tiger. It turns out they're scouts from other guilds. Just then he notices someone behind him. When he looks clearly, he's suddenly shocked. It's player Lee Hoyle. Why is he here? Lee Hoyle is also stunned. We're done for. This is a level 400 magical beast, but Granville doesn't fear it. He raises his hand to cast magic. The ground instantly raises stone pillars to trap it. If we stop its movement, it can't play tricks anymore. The other's eyes widen. Is this still a skill human should have? Perfect for practice. It turns out he needs to test the skills learned from the mage tower. The next second, the huge emerald tiger dies without leaving even ash behind. Then he places his hand on his chest, feeling the artifact's recovery. 10% recovery effect. He no longer needs to worry about insufficient mana. The two look at everything before them incredulously. On the other side, the Radiant Guild's leader is currently regretting not dispersing his people. This not only scattered the team members, but also trapped them in the outskirts. Another member suggests we should reassemble the team, and we got the latest news. The Obsidian Guild has reached the forest center. But that's not the problem. It seems I was too greedy. Just as the leader is about to send someone to contact them, they call looking urgent, as if something's happened from them. He learns that player Lee Hoyo helped them out of trouble, and the path has been cleared. Hearing this, he finds it incredible. At the same time, the guild mage sends news. Lee Hoyo is the first player to receive an NPC quest. He thought the media was just exaggerating, but he didn't expect his strength to be so formidable. He might be more terrifying than the public knows. The scene shifts. Lee Hoyo is holding the dropped emerald crystal with greedy eyes. It's a crystal with unique components. Looks like we hit the jackpot this time. You an ambitious guy just then. Granfell senses something unusual. The miasma here seems to have changed. Granfell's sixth sense is very accurate. He feels an ominous chill spreading throughout his body. At the same time, the quest window prompts again. Investigate the 7 deadly sins of USRA Archipelago. The next second, the ground suddenly starts shaking. The window prompts USRA Archipelago is controlled by greed. Seeing this, Lee Hoy was instantly shocked. Everyone received the message, and there was this destruction progress. This meant that this island was actually a rift, and it seemed that human greed had awakened it. Lee Hoyo thought it couldn't be me, right? Granfell, considering the current situation. What had been awakened must be a demon of greed. If the progress reached 100%, the demon of greed would be released. At the same time, the quest prompted again. Stop the resurrection of greed. Ensure the island's treasure won't be destroyed by greed. This further confirmed Granfall's suspicion. The quest said to stop it, not destroy it, because with Lee Hoy Yale's current abilities, he might not necessarily be its opponent. At this moment, the nearby guild began advancing toward the treasure's location. From their conversation, they learned that the Obsidian Guild had obtained a batch of treasure, and there were currently 9 islands left unconquered. Hearing this, Granfell knew this was a normal reaction, believing all players on the Usher Islands were thinking the same thing as them. To prevent the treasure from being destroyed by greed, they needed to abandon their own desires. But convincing all players was impossible. Lee Hoyo racked his brains, but couldn't think of any solution at this moment. Granville sighed softly. Currently, there's only one way: we have to take all the treasure. This left Lee Hoyo stunned. Are we going to fight all the players alone? The Obsidian Guild conquered the second archipelago, and they too received the destruction progress, which made their guild leader Rox feel strange. Camilla also noticed that from the moment they obtained the treasure, the progress bar increased by 10%, which couldn't help but raise suspicion. The guild leader also confirmed this, then immediately asked about Jesse's participation in the meeting. Dimitri indicated that Lee Hoyal had received a quest from the mage. Tower Rocks found Lee Hoyal increasingly interesting. If we fought him, who knows who would win or lose? Hearing this, both felt a sudden shock in their hearts. I hope our interaction won't be too violent. Camilla also expressed that the current situation was already difficult to resolve. Getting into conflict with that monster would be an unwise choice, and Jesse would never agree to such an approach. Rox ran his fingers through his hair. True, after all, he's never done anything bad to us. There's no need to oppose him at all. I think I must have been blinded by jealousy. Meanwhile, the island's destruction progress rose to 20%. Had another guild obtained treasure? When Dimitri checked the information, he discovered that Unity Under Heaven had conquered another island. It seemed the increase in destruction progress was exactly as they had suspected. On the other side, Lee Hoyo was trying to stop Granville's idea. If we take all the treasure, the destruction progress will fill up, and the demon of greed will be awakened. Even if you're not doing it for profit, greed will still awaken if you do that. Just then they noticed the guild ahead. Looking at their attire and banner, it was the Lionheart Guild, unexpectedly meeting the finest knights here. Branfeld directly called out to their captain, "Hearken, Kingsguard." Hearing this, Harkin frowned deeply. The others were quite angry about this, feeling it was disrespectful. But the captain signaled them not to be impulsive, and asked for his name. Granville apologized for this. "My name is Lee Hoyo. It's an honor to meet the Lionheart Knights here." Harkon also sensed it compared to other players. Lee Hoyo had a special aura about him. Then Harkon noticed the brooch he wore. It seemed familiar somehow. Just then Granville sensed something was wrong. Suddenly an attack came toward him, but fortunately his quick reflexes allowed him to dodge it. This puzzled everyone. Was it a meteor falling from the sky? But the next second they were suddenly stunned. It was the island's guardian beast, the Golden Hound giant turtle. The captain immediately signaled everyone to prepare for battle. At the same time, the giant turtle's eyes emitted a green glow. The attack struck toward them, and its attack carried a missed effect. They couldn't see the giant turtle's figure clearly at all. Just then Harkon sensed something was wrong. But the turtle had already appeared behind him. He wanted to run, but it was too late. The next second the massive turtle paw came down toward him, just from the turtle's overwhelming presence. The others couldn't get close at all. Am I dead? Just then Harkon noticed it was Li Hoi who blocked the turtle's attack. Seeing this, they were all shocked by his move. To cast such powerful magic without chanting. Is this guy a monster? This wasn't the time for idle chat. The giant turtle had tremendous destructive power, and in no time the raised earth wall was destroyed by it. Building such a large earth wall was quite draining. Li Hoyo needed to conserve his mana as much as possible, so he had to cooperate with them. Before Li Hoyo could extend an invitation, the other party spoke first. The Lionheart Knights said that, as long as Li Hoyo could help them achieve victory, they would provide generous compensation. Hearing this, Grandfall readily agreed to their request.